The Amazon Prime Big Deal Days is now on, and here in this video are all the best deals for mini PCs and related tech. I'm your host, Emi Chicken from Team Bandori, and on our channel we mostly review mini PCs, and that means we should know our stuff. Before we start, I want to mention a few things. First, we're not going to focus on any processors that we know will struggle with regular Windows use. And this means we're going to avoid all Intel 4000 series, and you should too. Secondly, all these deals are on Amazon, which means affiliate links are down below. And if you're unhappy with a purchase, it's Amazon, so it's easy returns. And thirdly, please hit the like and subscribe. We're at a time now of crazy AI, and if you don't help us, Skynet's going to take over. So without any further ado, let's get into the deals. First section, budget mini PCs. We're starting off with a Beelink S12 N95 PC. Now this little mini we reviewed a few years ago, and it's a very quiet computer, ideal for students. It's not really for playing games on, but for office use and internet things, it's alright. And there's only one left. Next up is the GMK Tech G5. This again is also very good for office use. Windows, pretty good. Ideal for a student, family, and it's about yay big. This mini's got 12 gigs of DDR5 and also 256GB of storage. Remember that most of the computers in this list have a selection of memory as well as storage. You can select a larger SKU down here. Oh, it's the same. If you fancy a bit more memory, you can always look at the Ace Magic Mini PC 11 Pro. This one has the same N97 CPU, so we're looking at emulation up to PlayStation 2, and it can also play a few indie titles. But mainly these are for study, YouTube, and things like that. Like internets and things. Next up is the Wowee! It uses a 3500U Ryzen processor, which has double the threads of that last computer. We saw this in the GMK Tech G9, and while it wasn't as great as the N100 series or N97 series in emulation, it was actually better for Windows gaming. So for something like Counter-Strike 2 or something like that, this would be better bang for buck. It comes with 8GB of DDR4, 256GB storage, and I think Robtech checked this computer out. And unfortunately there's only one stick in there. But if you want this performing at its best, you need to stick in 2 sticks of DDR4 for super power. Alternatively, you can try this thing over here, which is the Ryzen 5 3555H, which should be a little quicker, apparently. TDP's higher, should be a little quicker. Maybe. But the main draw for this option, it has double the memory as well as double the storage. Moving on now to budget game doofers. Yeah, basically the place you want to enter if you want to play a few games, like Counter-Strike 2 or things like that. First up is the Triku Mini PC. I've never heard of these guys, but it sounds cool. As you can see here, this is the 5600H. If it's got U at the end, it's the power efficient version of the CPU. Anyway, this is a 6-core 12-thread CPU, and it has 8GB DDR4 and 256 storage. This one's $199, and if you want to go one tier above, you can look at the Paladin Woe 4. Wait a second, Triku? Paladin Woe 4. Ha, deja vu. Alright, if you want double the memory and double the storage, this is the one you want to get. One more thing to remember about the Ryzen mini PCs is we actually need more memory, as the GPU shares that memory with the actual system itself. So if you can, go for the one with more memory. That is, unless you're a complete cheapskate. Like me. Next up is the Ace Magic Cron Mini K1 Cron Mini K1. As we mentioned before, this is the power efficient variant, and compared to the 5800, this is actually clocked a bit faster. This computer's at 16GB, 512GB, and if you check out the price, it's actually not $237, because if you look down here, save 8%. So it'll make it around about $218. How about that? Boss game! P4. We've recently done a game test with this processor, and it's actually surprisingly quick, especially for such a cheap mini PC. If you check here, we're at $238, and you might be able to get 5% off of that. It's quite a tidy looking mini, and if I can recall, this has a very small fan, or small secondary flan, that Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you see that there? It's a little fan, and that's going to blow air onto your memory as well. So it's a dual fan system. I wish Boss Game would send us some mini PCs so we could review them. Here's the Cron Mini K1. Wait a second, we just saw that one. Cron Mini K1, Cron Mini K1. Mini PCs with the same name. Another thing to add about this processor is the area where you can actually start playing PlayStation 3 games. One more thing to add, and also unadd, is the price. It's $279 minus a $25 coupon, and you got it for $254, which ain't bad at all. We can't have a mini PC video without mentioning B-Link. We just mentioned them. And here's the Surf 5 Pro. This one has the same 5825U. This one's got 16 gigs RAM, as well as 500 gigabytes memory. It's kind of odd that you've removed, like, what, 12 gigabytes? But yeah, B-Links are usually pretty good and usually quite quiet. But let's move on to the mid-range of Ryzens, because we don't care about Intels yet. Back again with Boss Game with the P5. Armed with a 6800H, 32 gigabytes of RAM, as well as, what, 512 storage? This doofer's got pretty much all you need. Thing is, with the 680M, the games that I play, for example CS2 or Dota, yeah, you can play it no problem with this at 1080p. It's a bit of a shame though that they don't use the DisplayPort, as I'm a bit of a fan of them. Either way, not a bad deal at all at $288. That is a bargain. But if you need that DisplayPort, Ace Magic have you covered. This one's the M1, same CPU, half the memory, but DisplayPort too. There is an option here for double the memory and double the storage, but there's no deal on that, so screw that. O-Star! What did I just say? It's the O-Star GT68. Sounds a bit like a car, to be honest. And here it is with the 6850H. Comparing the 6850 to the 6800H, there's not much difference. But if you look closer, this one's got a PIC E4, as well as Oculink port. We've compared using USB 4 to Oculink port, and Oculink port wins outright. So if you really want to use an external GPU, Oculink is the way. So this one's at $339, and if we check the next one, boop, there's another one by O-Star, the Gem 10. One thing to mention about both of these O-Star PCs is that they have soldered on memory. It's the LPDDR5, which is kind of quicker in some way, like a latency, but not as good in others. As if you have 2 slots of DDR5 working in dual channel, you'll have more bandwidth. And we also need to mention you cannot upgrade this, unless you've got mad soldering skills. And this is also important if you want to take into account maintenance. So if you've got normal DDR5 memory, and it breaks, you can just take it out and replace it with something that works. And if you think that's more important, we should take a look at the GMK Tech M7. Now, GMK Tech are a company that always fill both slots of memory if they're available, so you can always be sure that it'll have dual channel memory if there's the option. And this one's a 32/512 configuration with the Oculink. And we've reviewed this, and it's an amazing little PC, especially if you want to take into account the Oculink port if you want to upgrade the mini PC further at a future date. It's going for $365, and you might be able to get 5% off of that too. Hey! Now, last week we actually reviewed this PC, and we're actually very surprised with this one. Even though it's got 6 cores, 12 threads, and this one performs better in gaming than most, if not all, of the processors we've just mentioned. If you have time, please check our review on this one, because it's good. So yeah, the reason why this is so good is it is a 7000 series, and it uses Zen 4, which is way more efficient than all of them previously mentioned. The one we have here is a 32 gig 512 SKU. Yes, this has the old GMK Tech case design, and yes, no Oculink ports. But if you want to keep it as a mini PC without any connections to anything else, then this one's a nice one to have in your collection. Paladin also have a version 2, but I've not reviewed that. And the case design looks a... 1 minute, have we seen that case design before? I know those. BossLink again with the P3. Same chipset, 16 gigs RAM, 512. And make sure you click that coupon. And maybe that one there. Moving now to the upper tier of mini PCs. These ones will be extremely powerful, and with their 780M GPU, they should be able to play games at 1080p, or somewhere around that. First up in this tier is Paladin, and this one is kind of beautiful. Look at that silver. Arabian Nights. Ah, shiny. Either way, this one uses a 784HS, and it's got the GPU, as we mentioned before, the 780M. Again, it's a brand that never sends anything to us, but at first glance, it looks pretty silver. But if we check out his buttocks, unfortunately, there's only 2 HDMI ports and no display ports. So we can check out this funky looking PC from Ace Magic. We also reviewed something like this before, but it was an Intel. But this one's not an Intel, is it? It's a Ryzen with the power knob. Yay! Price is at $419, but if you look down to here, save 10% at discount. So if we get out our calculator and do that times that times that, we get a grand total of $377. Nice. Yes, the computer looks pretty funky, but if I can remember, I think the back is very easy to take off. So you can just flick out the memory and storage very easily. Let's just check out these little pictures. Dun, 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 dun. No, it's not mentioned, but if we look down here, it might be mentioned. Is it mentioned? Power knob! 16 gigabytes is okay, and we can upgrade it if we wish, but if we're using a CPU such as the 8745HS, we should add a bit more memory, which is something the Ryzen-A8 can provide. If we look, double the memory, DDR5 5600 MHz, and 1 terabyte storage. Yay! And at $399, with a possible 5% off, this may be quite a nice little computer. The Ryzen Alloy was actually a very nice computer. I have no doubts that this one will be excellent too. Actually, I think they use liquid metal for their thermal paste on the Alloy 9, so I'm wondering about this one. I'd love to tear that apart. But let's move on to the boss game, M4. Identical. That's a bit more expensive. So if you look at the specs of the 7840HS compared to the 8740HS, the 7840HS is only slightly higher. You won't see the difference, honestly, especially at a over $30 difference in price. Just go for the cheaper option, which is Ryzen Alloy. Yay! Next up is the Evo X1. And yeah, this one's got the 890M GPU in it, and it also has 10 cores. Whew! This one's going to be great if you want to do any video editing, and it also has the Oculink port option if you require it. The 890M GPU in there has actually been quite good at running many games. So we've been running Fortnite at 1440p, and actually my kid's been using it at 4K for some weird reason. I just like it being much smoother, but yeah, but this is a nice computer. Unfortunately, the price is a bit elevated in comparison to the last set of computers, but what can you do for performance? What we have here is the Top Grow T1 Mini. And finally, we've got to the Intel computers. Who are you? So this Intel is an 8-core, 16-thread CPU, and as this Mini PC here has a 1650 GTX in it, it's gonna run games pretty well. The downside to this one, compared to all of the previous Mini PCs we've had, this one's going to use a lot more energy, it'll be a lot hotter, but it's going to have a lot more power. And as it's using an NVIDIA GPU, much better games in Windows. We are talking Techno Parrot, baby. Yes, it's using the slower DDR4, but with a 1TB PCI 4 storage, no complaints at $69.9. And if you really want a AAA gaming in a smallish form factor, yeah, we've got the Minisforum 79.5S7. Now this doofer here has a Ryzen 9 16-core CPU, 32 gigs DDR5, 1TB PCI 4 storage, as well as an RTX 4060. This one's gonna fly. Mental. And again, elevated price. But remember, it's the games that you play that matter the most. And you don't need a computer like this if you're playing games like Dave the Diver. Last up in the top tier is the GMK Tech Evo X2. Yes, it's large, it's pricey, it's ultra powerful. The main target for this computer are those interested in AI, video editing, and those that want to have everything in one place. At over $1,600 is a hard pill to swallow, and if you want to use the larger LLMs, you'll need to get the higher memory option. And there's 128 gigs for $2,000. Yee! Next, we're going to take a look at a few diamonds in the rough. And the first one looks like fire. This one's a cheapie for them students. It uses the Intel N95 processor. Who knows, it's got a good review, so it might be a nice little computer to have for them students. And we also have the Ryzen 6600H. We checked out the original GMK Tech M6 last year, and that was the budget mini PC to get, and it was at $299 at one point. At $259, it might be worth a punt, and according to these ratings, it doesn't seem that bad. Laptops. Here we have the Asus VivoBook Go 15.6 inch. At $279, this Ryzen 3 7320U seems to be a great little runner for students and the like. Unfortunately, it's only got 8GB of RAM and 128GB of SSD, and you can go one step up for an extra $20, which means just more storage. Either way, it wouldn't hurt to upgrade to something like this. The Ace Magic LX15 Pro, using the Ryzen 5700U. This one's going to be light, as well as be able to play some games. So it's what you need in a laptop, really. With 16GB of RAM and 512 storage, it's not a bad place to start. But where we need to pay attention to in laptops is the screen ratio. It's going to look very small if you're using a 16:9 ratio. We should ideally look for something like either a 16:10 or, if we can, a 3:2. A laptop with the ratio of 3:2 is golden standard. I kid you not. And if you want to take one step further towards that, we can look at the Kiger. And this one uses a 16:10 aspect ratio. So it'll look like the screen is much larger even though it's the same size. Ish. This one's $520, and if we use that coupon down there, it is bing, $494. It uses the Ryzen 5825U, which we've seen a few weeks ago, so it would be pretty nippy for a small laptop. Nice. But if you want something with a bit more oomph, here's a Kaiser laptop with a 7735HS. This is basically a 6800H using a 680M GPU, and at just shy of $600, it's not a bad purchase. So how about some Cheapy Knick-Knacks? We've been using this thermal paste for the past year, and it's pretty nice, good stuff. It's a 54% discount at $6.49 for a 4-gram tube. Be good to put on your PlayStation 4, your PlayStation 3, your PlayStation or Mini PC. It's quite a nice mouse going here. There's the S9. We've had the S9 Ultra a few months ago on this channel, and a great little mouse. And the base version of this mouse is currently at $41 with a 10% coupon, $31. And last up is the OBSBot Meet SE. You don't actually need a 4K camera because this one can do it all. And it looks cute too. Anyway, that's it for the big Prime Day. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, maybe a share. Or if you want to help us out, please use the affiliate links down below. It will support the channel at no extra cost to yourself, and it will really help us a lot. Otherwise, this has been me Chicken of Team Pandori, and I'll catch you on the next one. Ta-ra!